Greetings everybody, today I'm going to be showing you a Jade Harvest build. Pretty much this is an extremely strong build that is capable of destroying Torment 6 by itself. Honestly, in 4-man group, you can even carry the other 3 players. So let's start with the skills of the build. Pretty much, Haunt is going to be one of your main abilities. And the rune that you want for that is going to be Resentful Spirits. You want to spam that on all the enemies that you want to kill. Your second ability is going to be Locust Swarm Pestilence. Arguably, people like to do Searing Locusts for the additional damage. I personally do not. I like Pestilence because it spreads to everyone, and sometimes that's all you need to blow them up. Next is going to be Soul Harvest with the Siphon Room. Pretty much you have no health regen in this build, so you do want any heals you can get, and pretty much since you spam Soul Harvest, that's going to be the best thing you can have. Next, you want Piranhas, and you want the rune Piranhado, simply because Strong Arm Bracelets, when you knock back an enemy, you gain additional damage against them, and Piranhado counts as a knockback. This is arguably whichever one you want. I prefer to summon Zombie Dogs, Leeching Beasts, to kind of get the enemies distracted off me sometimes, as well as give me some kind of life regen. If not, a lot of people prefer a Horrify with Frightening Aspect. It'll stun all the enemies around you, as well as give you the 35% additional armor. And also, of course, you do not want to go without Spirit Walk. It's the best survival ability you can have. There's nothing really worth putting in its place. You do so much damage, you don't need anything else. You may as well get that survival. Best rune is Jaunt. You want it to last as long as possible. Closes gaps, puts you in the middle of the enemies to blast off your Soul Harvest. Honestly, preferably the best. As terms of passive skills go, Fierce Loyalty, I simply use it just because I kill things so fast. I like to run fast. When I'm not in combat, I don't like the whole slow gap in between. So Fierce Loyalty is mine. In replace of that, you could use Pierce the Veil, increases your damage by 20%, but your mana costs are going to go up. So if you have a two-hander, that might be pretty hard because you're going to lose a lot of that mana regen from your offhand. If you don't mind being a little bit slower and you're not as spazzy as I am, you could use that. A good alternative is Gruesome Feast. 10% of your maximum mana and intelligence for 15 seconds, and it stacks up to 5 times. That's really useful, and that is the one that I personally use in greater rifts of the higher tiers. Again, preference, if you can do the whole slow thing, I would use that instead, but honestly, I love this. Next passive, you want Spirit Vessel. It lowers your Horrify if you're using that, your Spirit Walk, and your Soul Harvest. Soul Harvest is pretty much your bread and butter explosion. It's what makes everything take all the damage. Grave Injustice is fantastic. When you blow up a lot of enemies, it resets your cooldowns almost instantly, making you able to blow up even more a second later. It makes you able to Spirit Walk a lot more often. It is a very fantastic ability. You definitely want this. And Creeping Death, you cannot play Jade Harvester without it, because it just makes all your damage go off at once. The way that Jade Harvest works is that the dots that you apply when you Soul Harvest, it takes all the remaining damage left and hits the enemies with it. So pretty much this makes your dots last a long time, so there's a lot of remaining time left when you Soul Harvest. That is how you get the huge numbers. That is how you hit for 1 billion on things. You want this. Now to go over the gear, and I will get Paragon after that just to show you kind of where I'm heading with that. But as far as gear goes, you want the Jade Harvest set, of course. The 5 pieces you want are the gloves, shoulders, chest, pants, and feet. Gloves do the main stat, do your vit, do crit damage and crit chance. Honestly, you do not need attack speed in this build whatsoever, so don't waste your time. For shoulders, you're going to want the increased haunt damage as high as you can get. I've re-rolled it a bunch of times. 13% was my best, 15% ideal, of course. As far as chest goes, haunt damage, of course. Boots, kind of armor, vit, and intellect and movement speed. Pants, kind of the same thing. For helmet, you want this item, which I cannot even pronounce, so I'm not going to try. It makes your Locust Swarm and Haunt now deal their damage in half of the normal duration. It's pretty good. It does quick damage as your dots are on the enemy when you're not blowing them up. You also want the reduced cooldown diamond in there, because the faster you can Soul Harvest, the faster you're killing things. As far as amulet goes, pretty much you want intellect, critical hit damage, critical hit chance, and a socket for a legendary gem. Bracers, the strong arm bracers I mentioned earlier, you want cold damage, vit, intellect, crit chance, and as high as a percentage you can get for the knockback effect. Mine rolled kind of low, but hey, it's still fantastic. Rings, you want Stone of Jordan with cold damage. You want a socket in it, of course. Ring, you want Ring of Royal Grandeur. Like I said, you do not want attack speed. I regrettably didn't know how useless attack speed was when I started making this, so I kept it on there. I have not gotten another one since. I'm working on it, but yeah, you don't want attack speed, so if you had another stack, get rid of the attack speed and keep that one, honestly. For weapon, best in slot, I personally agree, is the Furnace. It gives you the elite damage. It has huge base damage, makes your freaking dots hit a lot harder. If you can get a good rolled one, use it. If you prefer to be faster, have more mana regen and other stuff, use one-handers perfectly fine. I choose this one because I hit a lot harder with it. As far as legendary gems go, you do want Bane of the Trapped because your haunt makes them cold. That means they're controlling impaired. Take 24% more damage. Mine's rank 31 though. It goes off how your rank is. I don't really care about the aura. It's nice, I guess. Ring of Royal Grandeur has my Bane of the Powerful. You gain 20% increased damage for a duration as high as your thing is. Duration will go up as you rank it up higher. And then at 25, you get 15% even more damage against elites. So that's pretty sweet. After you kill your first elite pack, you're going to have that buff. And when you're tearing things through so fast, honestly, you're going to have that buff up most of the time. As well as belt goes, best in slot for damage is Witching Hour. Pretty much is for most classes. It is a beast of a belt. However, for survival, as Jade Harvester, you do not have much survival. You do not take a hit very well at all. I prefer String of Ears. I keep it on me just because I do so much damage without the Witching Hour. I don't really care. It takes a lot less damage from melee attacks. Melee can hurt you really bad. I use this in G-Rift. I would not recommend Witching Hour in G-Rifts, honestly. I would take this defensive boost as possible. The third gem, I personally use Boon of the Hoarder because I simply love gold. If you want to do more damage, or if you're doing G-Rifts, you can use Taiguk, or however you say that. It's pretty good. I recommend that more so with a one-hander build because you can attack a little bit faster, so it doesn't expire so soon. It's good. You get the armor percent, you get damage percent. Mostly great for Rift Guardians. Besides that, I hated it, so I just took gold. I was like, whatever, I love gold. Gem of Efficacious Toxin. If I even said that correctly, that is a decently good one. Rumor has it that the poison enemies, Soul Harvest, takes off all that damage as well, but it does not apply such things as your passive skill as Creeping Death, so the damage isn't that great of an increase. The main thing is when it's 25, you get 10% more damage on enemies that are poisoned. I am going to level that up and try it out, but honestly, with my gear, I blow things up so fast, I don't really need it. If you don't have the boon and you don't want gold, use that. Take the 10% more damage, more explosions for you. As far as one-hander builds go, use Sunkeeper if you can get a good rolled one. If you get a really grabby one, don't even bother. This one was pretty decent, so I used that one. I rolled the damage a lot. Decent elite damage. If you cannot get a Sunkeeper, Utar's Roar is fantastic as well. It is a plan. You'll probably have that already. If not, you'll probably get it really soon. You just teach that to Blacksmith and then spam craft these till you get a good roll. Cold damage, 20% is great. High base damage, then you can roll a percent damage on there, whatnot. Get the socket in there. Both of these were gifted, so that's why they rolled so good, honestly. As well as offhands go, Thing of the Deep, best in the slot for the one-hander spec. The way that works, the increased gold and health pickup by 20 yards applies to how far your haunt goes off. It'll make your haunt hit more things at once. I love that, honestly. I have a lot of it on my other gear, like increase by 2 and anything else that I could kind of get it on. Whatever. Another alternative is Eucapian Serpent. That kind of gives you a little bit more tanks. When you summon your dogs are going to take 28% of your damage. With the new buff, they don't get as owned by super abilities that would normally kill a player. If you read that in the patch notes, you can use this. It gives you a little bit more tanky. Honestly, I kind of wanted to use that, but the furnace is just too great. All right, Paragon points. As far as we have some unspent, let's pop that in there. Anyway, I'll plop them as I go along. Paragon points. You can do intelligence if you have enough life. I only have about 450,000, so I kind of stacked into vitality. Movement speed to max out your movement speed. You want to move as fast as you can. Going below 25% is not recommended. So if you have the life, blow it into intelligence. More damage, better. As far as this go, attack speed is worthless. You want cooldown reduction to soul harvest. Crit chances was my preference because my crit was kind of low. And then critical hit damage. If your crit's pretty decent, go ahead and do critical hit damage. Bigger explosions when you crit, and these spells can crit. Pop that in there real quick. As far as this go, I chose life because again I was lacking in the life department, and then I went resist all. I like the all resists. Honestly, you take a lot of elemental damage. The armor does not benefit you enough, honestly. Some people swear to take the armor. That's going to be last for me. I used it. I didn't see it. I still was getting my face pounded. So I decided to go life regen as my next thing. It's minor, but hey, it's could save you every now and then. Area damage. I heard that it does affect area damage, so I put that first. Life on hand is kind of just a my preference. You do heal a little bit, but it's terrible. You could do resource cost reduction. I mean, I could take more gold if I wanted to, but pretty much area damage, resource cost reduction if you want to do less mana, and possibly use the Pierce the Veil talent, passive rather. Go ahead. Yeah, but this is how I'm setting mine up. Bum, bum, bum. My Paragon is 460, so I kind of can mess around a little bit more than the lower Paragon levels. So pretty much that's the build, the skills, the gear, the alternatives, and the Paragons. So I'm going to show you pretty much the build and play. You can use Unity when you're in solo play, honestly, if you have the Immortal Templar and another Unity to put on him. That way when you're playing solo, you take a lot less damage. That is pretty much mandatory if you're going to do high graded rifts. But yeah, right now I'm just going to use my Saj because I'm alone and I'm not doing greater rifts, so just going to do a ton of damage. I'm going to do the Festering Woods because that's a lot of stuff. Oh look, an elite right off the bat. Bump, bump. Use your Locust, spam some haunts in there, make sure it's all coated, and then boom. Throw out the Tornado again, blow them up again. Look, all my cooldowns are down again because of that one passive. And then I can spam it again. If you're getting in trouble, you want to use your Spirit Walk. When things are piled up pretty much with Tornado, you kind of want to Spirit Walk right into the middle of it and then Soul Harvest. That'll give you the best maximum radius of hitting the enemies. And Grave Injustice, by the way, was what was giving me my abilities to spam my abilities. You know what? The monsters are going to Crypt of the Ancients. So let's go. You can also use Spirit Walk as a quick movement increase. Hurrah! Ba-da, ba-da. I hate barrels. Barrels is where I got my furnace from. Believe it or not. So pretty much your damage is going to be so great once you get the gear that in normal, your dots are just going to kill everything before you even really need to Soul Harvest. I like the Spirit Walk when I'm applying stuff to Elise so they don't get that damage on me while I'm applying it. Because like I said, you are very squishy as a Jade Harvester. Let's see, now I have Bane of the Powerful, my damage just shot up. I always play Locust Swarm first, just to get it spread out, and then I haunt. Unless I'm doing an elite. Tornado, explode. Sometimes I'll throw haunt out first, you know. And explode. And explode. And that's basically it. And he's dead. Let's go show one more area, and that'll pretty much wrap up the video. Pretty much the only downside to Jade Harvest is that when you're fighting Rift Guardians, if you're with 4 players or in a high G Rift, your Jade Harvest abilities aren't going to be as great.